Welcome to the Own It Show. I'm Heather Lee Chapman, your holistic performance and business coach. And I'm so excited to be here with you all today. It's time to stop sacrificing your health and freedom and start scaling your results in your business and all areas of your life. Here at Own It Empire, we help entrepreneurs become high performers and increase their awareness so they can increase their impact and create profitable business online so that you can truly own it. Welcome back to the Own It Show. I'm Heather Lee Chapman, your host and coach. And today we're going to help you own it online and build your business through networking and communities. And we've got incredible special guest, Laura Holt, here today. So please, Laura, thank you so much for being here. Tell us more about you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Heather. So I'm a small business owner myself, and I'm here in the Colorado area. And I focus on professional development, coaching, and workshop facilitation. And within that, I help leaders, especially in tech, but others as well, to kind of outwardly and digitally represent their personal and professional brand to achieve their goals. And I've been studying like the science and psychology of messaging optimization to get people to respond to our outreach for most of my professional career over the past, 10 to 12 years, and how to make it sound or be very sincere. And that's just something I have always been attracted to and geeked out on, and have kind of refined over the years. And I think that's really helped me show people how to network sincerely, because I always hear that it sounds very inauthentic or salesy. And to me, there's a good way to do it. So I'm really excited to explain that. I think my mission is to just inspire curiosity about what connections and community is around us. And the business name I have, Eight-Legged Moves, comes from all the different octopus metaphors I used to use when I was coaching early on about curiosity, because they are such curious animals. And so I kind of help leaders like navigate all the murky waters of advice that's out there about how to do things and apply it to their unique situation and values. And that's kind of my style of coaching. I like to help them build the confidence to replicate that success in the future without me and do it on their own. And I'm really interested in explaining like the why behind every either decision or piece of advice that either they might receive or I might give, so that people can make their own decisions for themselves in the future using that context. And that's what I really enjoy about the coaching and workshop facilitation space, is seeing people go through that almost process to autonomous, like intuitive decisions.
I love that. And I love the name of your company. And I love the octopus analogy. What were the three things that you said you really loved? It was curiosity.
Yeah.
Good, tell me.
Adaptability was the other one, because I know that octopus like to camouflage themselves and can adapt to any environment they're in, as well as resilience. The first time, I believe it was on My Octopus Teacher, that many people have seen now on Netflix. This might be a spoiler, so turn away if it is, but there is a battle in the ocean, and the octopus loses a leg to a shark. But it turns out octopus are one of those animals that can regrow limbs. And so for me, I was like, that's such a great show of resilience, right? They're battling these, creatures, and just kind of go about regrouping, right? And in a way, I like to say, because they have to, right? What other option is there? It's kind of that just do it attitude, I guess. So it was the only kind of name that made sense for my brand, because those are also my personal values. I've always just been a really curious, inquisitive individual. And I think coaches should also be those listeners and asking open and powerful questions to help people reflect instead of just coaching at them, right? There's times for advice and times for reflection. And I love when we can inspire that reflection for people.
Oh, great name and great meaning behind
Mhm.
it. So absolutely love it. And you wear many hats and do a lot of different things. So tell us about your entrepreneur journey and all the things that you do and
Mhm.
how you serve your clients and the results you help them get.
Yeah. So before I started my business, I was most recently a tech recruiter for a data analytics consultancy startup. And before that, I had built my professional experience in career services of multiple types and alumni engagement, where I also was doing a lot of virtual and digital outreach. And I did that in both the corporate and nonprofit space for over 10 years and gained a lot of skills in relationship building, social media management. Um, but I also kept burning out and never felt like my brain fit in because I
Mm.
have ADHD and I was also an opinionated woman, and that sometimes just doesn't fit. Um, and so I was starting to slowly, question where I would fit into the workspace, really. And in my last role as a recruiter, I was enjoying it and I practically lived on LinkedIn, which I'm very passionate about. So it felt like getting paid to be on LinkedIn to source candidates that I was looking for. And I was using these messaging strategies. And I achieved my goal of hiring 40 people in 6 months, I think it was, for a very small company. So for them, that was huge. Um, but I soon realized how much a company's decisions can kind of sabotage your own personal achievements because then I saw them lay off all 40 of those people before the year was over.
Mm.
Um, and so that affected me quite a bit and made me want to get out of recruiting because I got into it to help people and to really give them jobs. I mean, that's, the impact I saw I had. And that kind of didn't happen, in the way I expected it to. I also got laid off myself shortly after that, of course, being a recruiter who is going through a company going through layoffs. And I started to realize that maybe I didn't want to go back to corporate. I didn't want to go back to these careers that didn't seem like a good fit for both my skill set, but also kind of my brain chemistry. And
Mm.
so I started to enjoy, the flexibility of running my own business and being able to use the outreach strategies I had learned to help my own business and to help my clients. And so I started to amplify the side hustle that I had started a couple years prior, where I had started coaching friends and family through, their professional challenges they came to me with, and I expanded that to a full-time venture and really enjoyed it. So now it's almost half a decade in, I think, and I just feel really happy and fulfilled with this amount of both flexibility and control over, my own decisions and what I'd like to focus on and what types of clients I'd like to have. And I think what's helped me stay committed is knowing that why,
Mm.
that, this is where my strengths are best used and that I can kind of stop trying to be, a square in a round hole or, a circle in a square. I can just kind of be my own thing. Maybe I'm a hexagon. I set
An
my own hours. I
octagon.
work. Yeah, yeah,
An
exactly.
octagon.
Yeah, I can work virtually, which I really enjoy. Most of my clients are kind of spread out throughout the US and, work independently and have the final say over things. So I've helped clients with different professional challenges. Sometimes that is working towards a promotion, or if they're struggling to get a promotion or have been for a while, deciding if they need to leave their role and, pursue other opportunities and what those might be. Um, I help people prepare for interviews, for example. I've helped professionals who feel like they're perhaps a strong professional in the corporate space, but online no one would know that. And so
Mm.
perhaps just looking at their LinkedIn profile, they're like, I feel like you can't see, any of the special things about me or what makes me unique. I kind of just blend in. So I also help professionals with revising their LinkedIn profile to represent the personal and professional brand they might already have, but how do you do that in a digital space? Sometimes that's harder for people. Um, and then the other thing I help out with a lot is, whatever your goals might be for people who want to expand their community or expand their current network. Some people just tend to have smaller networks. When they have new opportunities they want to seek out, how do you go find new people? How do we not feel like it's stranger danger, right? And that we can create the community that we want to see and gain the intel and advice that we might need from people that might not be directly in like our first connections or in our friend groups, right? If we have that gap, how do we go fix that?
I love it. It's amazing. And it's so unique, everything that you've learned and gathered along the way, and how you get to put it together and now support other people to really, truly help build their personal and professional brand and put it together in a way that it represents what they want it to represent so that they can continue to excel, build their networks, and improve in their careers and businesses. So it's amazing.
Uh, I enjoy it so much.
Good. And that's the most important thing, is loving what you do. And I'm really proud of you. And I just want to say congratulations from going from corporate to entrepreneurship. Because I find with clients, that's the biggest mindset shift. Like, if you're already an entrepreneur, a lot of the mindset shifts are easier. And the hardest is to go from employee to entrepreneur, because guess what? You're your own boss. Amazing.
Right?
And guess what? You got to set the deadlines. You got to keep your promises to yourself. You got to be integral, and you got to do the things. And you get to create something from nothing. You're not being told what to do. You are the conscious co-creator. So it really is an incredible opportunity. And I love to see when people take their zones of genius and turn it into their business, take their gifts, they see the gap in the market and they fill it, and they just be in the energy of service. So congratulations and thank you for what you do. And I'm super excited for you to share your tips with us today.
Yeah. When I was, reflecting on what would help professionals that find either networking or maybe LinkedIn a little bit, scary, or maybe just the virtual component, because I find a lot of entrepreneurs kind of are like, yeah, like I can go to events and they kind of know that's part of the deal. But I've found some people who are either in really rural communities. I mean, I grew up in Vermont, so like there aren't always networking events in my town, not even in the biggest towns sometimes. What do you do if virtual or digital is really all you have access to, or the right people are in those digital spaces, right? In Vermont, there's not much of a tech community. It's one of the reasons I moved to Denver, actually, because I knew the types of companies at the time I wanted to work in tech startups and corporate, weren't going to be in Vermont. And so if you don't have that type of, network to pull from in your own community, well, to me, it was always, for me, I made a simple connection of there's a whole online, wealth of resources out there. So I was trying to kind of gather these tips of what's helped me with my business, and what networking have I done for my business that is more focused perhaps online. Um, and I think one of the things I didn't realize at first was how many coaches, consultants, and business owners really have a lot of partnerships and referrals, and they're not just going it alone. And I think everyone maybe assumes that you're one entrepreneur, running the company by yourself, and you have to create all the opportunities for yourself. But when I talked to more people, they were saying, no, like, I partner with XYZ other business, or I refer out business that doesn't match me, and, they refer business to me. And that's how you build a lot of those different opportunities. And so to do that in an online space, I find that LinkedIn is one of those ways. It has kind of this world of opportunity. And I find mainly because emails nowadays are so locked down, right? I was just trying on ChatGPT to say, can you find this email? And they're like, due to privacy, we can't do that, right? So if we can't just pick someone that we want to reach out to and email them, LinkedIn has kind of that option. They have connect notes, they have the premium messages. Similar for Facebook, right? We probably could find someone on Facebook and reach out, but Facebook seems to be a little bit more of a social community versus a business community. So I might feel odd doing that. I mean, although depending on your niche, I know professionals who do that and have a space for that. So, LinkedIn, the more people that kind of know what you do and what niche you fill, the more that they can like refer clients to you if it doesn't fit what they do. So I introduce myself to other coaches and consultants all the time. And my pitch really is, I just want to get to know you and see if there's opportunity for collaboration, or see if our niches either mesh or are almost opposite enough that we could collaborate and refer out to each other. I think the other place besides LinkedIn is in different online communities or forums. And so I come from the tech world, so like Slack is pretty normal, even Discord is pretty normal. And so there's, for example, like a Colorado startup Slack. And so that one is really active, has over, I think it's over 1,000 people in that forum now. And by posting and chatting there, I met a financial coach and business owner that really needed a communication and leadership coach, because that was not his skill set, to complement his niche when he got requests from companies that are like, can you do everything for us, right? And he's like, I'll come in and give a financial webinar or workshop, but also, yes, I happen to have a leadership coach or communication coach that can come in and help your employees too. So that benefited him and it benefited me. So it's almost those mutual but almost opposite matches that I found really helpful. And it was just through, we both happened to be in the Slack group. I think I've also gotten workshop opportunities simply from like reaching out to a Leadership Lab co-founder on LinkedIn because I wasn't going to be able to find his email. And it was a Leadership Lab that I specifically admired because they matched my values. So I think I could show extra sincerity there by doing my research and picking a group that where our values and online brands clearly aligned. And I just offered to chat with him and actually just be a substitute if they ever needed one. And then it turns out the next week they had a need to fill a workshop. And so we were, often chatting. We took it offline. Well, took it offline to go back online to Zoom, but we had a virtual coffee chat and it was a good fit. And so they're in something like the East Coast, Maryland or something. I don't think I ever would have had the chance to meet them live, right, at a networking event or something. And so LinkedIn for me facilitated that opportunity.
That's amazing. And I built my business for the first 10 years off referrals, and a lot of it was in person. I did everything in person all across Toronto, and all of a sudden I wanted to go digitally and coach online. And I thought, I'm like known in Toronto. I get referrals all the
Right.
time. And now I'm going into this space where I have to like rebuild my influence and introduce to the market who I am and what do I do. And how do I build those strategic partnerships and collaborations in communities and connect through more communities again, so that referral network is just always there, so that if somebody's thinking, hey, transformation, self and business mastery, oh, Heather, right? Like, and that was I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, especially if you're going from in-person to an online space, can be a little daunting and a little scary. And so I still remember having like 200 followers and my brother making fun of me saying, what are you trying to be, Instagram famous? And I'm like, this is what we do now. Like you have to go online, you have to post, you have to build your brand, you've got to audit your platforms. It's all got to represent you. You've got to network and connect with more people online. And since I can coach globally and do it from anywhere, why only network in my small space? And at that time, I actually moved back to my hometown. So I live in this small beach town where is it mostly my ideal clients? Not likely. So the online space has been priceless to me. And I have been blessed enough to mostly do it through, we do use LinkedIn, but mostly through networking, Facebook and Instagram, but mostly through like networking and then bringing people back into our ecosystems. And we're diving a lot more into LinkedIn now because we encourage everyone to have one meta platform and at least one non-meta platform. And so that's why we're leaning a lot back in. And I also see the whole markets kind of going that way. It's also one of the reasons we dove back into using LinkedIn was because in the network meetings, everyone just kept sharing only LinkedIn links.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. So we just cut everything else out now. I see how this is going. And so I was like, well, we've got to get back on there. We've got to rebuild our presence and learn how to use it and be able to make those authentic connections through there. Because part of the reason which had pulled us off it before was just a lot of recruitment and not relationship building, which I know, which is the tip that you actually want to talk about next. So the first is how to build those partnerships and referrals through online communities, and why it's so important because, hey, you can have a global reach. And even when I was in person, I built those partnerships in Toronto. So I had a good friend who was a psychotherapist. I did lifestyle coaching. I worked with high performers, athletes, people with acquired brain and spinal cord injuries. And we could just refer to each other. And it was actually, they go hand in hand. And it was such an incredible collaboration. I had doctors, neurologists, chiropractors, massage therapists, and we all just kind of referred within each other. So I didn't use Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I didn't get clients from there. It was all through strategic partnerships. And like you were saying, now we have this opportunity to build those partnerships virtually with people that you would never connect with in your small little beach town. Right? And so I love this opportunity. And now let's talk really about doing it sincerely and authentically and building that rapport and that relationship so that we can also authentic, like you want to qualify and connect with those who you want to. So instead of just pitching everyone and their mom, like get to know them first. And yeah, so tell us more how to network sincerely and authentically.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's part of it is, we're not going straight for the pitch because we don't know if that person is interested. And I like to say, how do we know they don't already have like some services that we're providing? And so when I talk about networking, that's why I'm not calling it, sales, right? Networking can lead to different opportunities, and sometimes that's sales and sometimes it's more referrals, or them passing you on to another friend, or them knowing about you and then later down the line taking advantage of your services. So there's multiple different open-ended ways that networking could benefit you, but I think that many people prefer not to do it because it sounds either like a sleazy approach, because maybe they've only heard of like the sales pitch approaches, right? And so I like to always just reverse it and ask myself, what would make me meet or respond to someone else? Okay? And I literally create the message that I would respond to. Often that message is going to be kind of pointing out how they found me, because often I'm like, how did you get to my profile, right? There are more than probably 1 million people on LinkedIn at this point, right? Why me? So often it's like, how did I find you? And do we have any mutual interests or kind of rapport we can build? Who am I, right? Some people forget to describe like who they are, not just what services they offer. So I like to say, I'm a coach in a similar space, or I live in Denver. If we both live in Denver, something that kind of builds that rapport. And then a hint to what I want, perhaps, if it's just a connection note, because that's often what I'm sending. But not an outright, perhaps not an outright ask right then, right? Because it's the whole, if you were to compare it to Facebook, do you want to be friends type of thing, right? So you wait until they want to be friends and hit connect, and then you can ask them something more direct. And what I'm asking, if it's like a first question, is maybe like a curious question, right? So like, what brought you to my page or profile? So you could actually be responding to people who follow you on LinkedIn, who clearly have shown an interest and found you. Well, usually we don't engage with those people, right? But we could, send them a message back. What, brought you here or to my profile? Or what sparked your interest in what I posted from today? If they commented, right, we could engage with them in a personal message. It's not like, I saw you commented, do you need a coach, right? Um, so
Sorry. Haven't got that one yet. That's good though.
Right. Open-ended questions, allow people to not feel like you're selling them something, and that you're genuinely interested, which you should be, right? And gets them talking. And sometimes I like to say, if you don't ask a question, then people aren't required to respond, right? I hear like, I tried to connect, but I didn't hear back. And then I was like, did they need to respond back to anything? Did you ask a question, or could they just hit accept and, follow on as normal? So I think questions really help spark that conversation. And then you might know, oh, did they come to you from a referral or a friend, or was it just random? Were they interested in ADHD or whatever it might be, right? Then you can kind of know what you might be able to proceed with from there. But often, whether or not it could be a sale or not, I'm usually trying to take it again, like off the platform and onto somewhere more sincere, because to me, that's the biggest way to build those connections is face to face, even virtually, but on something like Zoom or Google Meet, which is free. And so I take it offline to a different platform and I say, hey, can we have, a virtual coffee chat if we're not in the same city? Sometimes even if we're in the same city, I'm still like, let's skip the traffic and meet, virtually just for like 20 minutes. And often it's to get to know each other and, see if there's any collaboration opportunities or whatever that little hint to talking about what they do and what you do or their challenges can help you build connection. And again, you're not kind of leading with a sales pitch because you don't know what that person needs at this point.
Yeah, I
That's
love
really
that.
helped me.
No, I absolutely second everything you just said and how important it is to first of all get it off the platform. So that's a big thing, regardless what platform it is.
Yeah, no one wants to be chatting online all day, back and forth, 10 messages. You're going to get ghosted eventually because they're like, okay, we talked a little bit, so what, right? And they still haven't seen your face, they haven't heard your voice. I think that helps people remember each other is the face-to-face.
And a 15-minute virtual coffee date you can learn so much more about that person, their energy, qualify them, see if you like them, if they know, like, and trust you, and move it to the next steps from there, where that could take you months in the DM. And
Right.
like, they send you a message one week and then like, whatever that is. So that's huge. And then also it just allows you to truly actually get to know the person
Mhm. Yeah.
so much better, like you said. So I love it. Take
Mhm.
it off the platform, whether it's in person or virtual coffee dates, and doing it authentically, actually building the relationship with the person, to come. I know not everyone follows this model, and I think it's the best, but come from the energy of service. So not just like,
Mhm.
what can I get? I'm here to make money. I'm not here to make friends, which somebody said
Uh,
recently in a networking meeting. And I was like, oh, very interesting. Very
I've heard that
interesting.
before.
I'm here to make money, not make friends.
Yeah, I have heard you should never take a networking meeting if it's not going to lead to a sale. And I think it is the worst advice I've ever heard, because you will never be able to insinuate if that could have been a long-term sale, or again, like a down the line, I'll connect you with someone else connection, or
Mhm.
just a partnership. Maybe you're not selling, maybe you're partnering, but you would never know if you don't jump into the chat.
Exactly. And when I had interns helping it manage the inbox, I would teach them there's like kind of a few categories. Like, they could be a podcast guest, we could collaborate in some way, they could be a potential client, or they could just be a connection. And what you want to do is figure that out. So before we pitch anybody, we actually want to get to know them, and we want to qualify to see which is the best opportunity for them, or if we just stay connected and support one another. And it's
Mhm.
coming from that energy of service instead of like, what do I need? Which is,
Mhm.
I believe it's
Yeah.
the toxic masculine way of selling. And
Mhm.
so I'd like to bring in
Yeah.
that feminine divine. Like, and I always want to preface this, I don't mean like bad men. I
Yeah.
love men. Masculinity is amazing when done in the right way. It's the toxic version where it's like, it's me, it's my way, it's the highway. I'm here for something. I'll bulldoze over whoever
Mhm.
I need to get it.
Yeah.
Whoever I have to climb over to get what I want. It's the old way of business.
Mhm.
And I don't want to say, but I'm going to say it's like the old white man way of
Mhm.
business, right?
Mhm.
And so
Right.
we kind of trying to rinse that out of the market and bring in this place of open cooperation, collaboration,
Yeah.
networking sincerely, authentically. How can I serve you? How can you serve me? How can we support one another? And then, like I said, just kind of qualifying to see like, well, what avenue is that? And then moving that
Mhm.
relationship forward from there. Because if you do have a great gift and they need it, you'll find
Mhm.
out on that coffee chat what their need
Right.
is. And if the
Yeah.
opportunity is there, then you can present it. And that is so much easier and more authentically than in the DM. So I
Mhm.
love, love, love the tip. Network sincerely and take it off the platform, get it out of the DM, and make an authentic connection. Amazing. Yeah. Awesome. Anything else you want to add to that one, or should we dive into refine your digital brand through your profiles and auditing those
Mhm.
profiles?
Um, I think to respect everyone's time, because I could go into the nitty-gritty, right, of what exactly to say for networking and all that. But I'm happy to, help people if they want to reach out as well. I think it all that the networking messages always depend on, like, the exact situation, so I won't delve into the different optimizations. But I do think, well, I have been talking about one thing with a lot of my clients this week, which was just, if you're scared to network, then think of what's one step outside of your comfort zone, not like the red bad
Mm.
zone, and then slowly progress from there. So if you really haven't done these like digital outreaches, you could start with like reconnecting with, former connections that you haven't talked with in a while, or even former coworkers and things like that if you left to become an entrepreneur. And that might be like one step further. And you don't have to jump into just automatic strangers. Or like I said, you could be on the Slack communities and just posting advice. And then maybe eventually you'll find like one person who you mesh really well with, and then decide to kind of take it offline. But you don't have to jump into the deep end, but you should be figuring out what's beyond your comfort zone and trying that instead of avoiding it.
Love it. Absolutely brilliant, because your best life lies outside your comfort zone.
Yes.
And that's such a good advice, right? As just getting started where you can, slightly outside your
Mhm.
comfort zone instead of jumping to the
Yeah.
deep end and getting into freeze mode and doing nothing. Just
Right.
starting with those micro steps that we're
Mm.
somewhat comfortable with, but outside of our comfort zone. So we're growing. And I think
Yeah.
that's where the magic is going to happen. And there's the saying, like, eat the frog. Do the
Yeah.
hardest thing first. And then somebody
Mhm.
repositioned it for me years ago and said, well, actually, like, do the thing that's going to get you the biggest win first. So
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
actually, so eat that frog, because that's
Mhm.
going to be the easier thing to do. It's going to get you momentum, and then you're going to go eat the big toad, right?
Mhm.
Like, and so I
Yeah.
like that. That's kind of like how you were saying, like, start with that
Mhm.
thing that's slightly outside, and then
Mhm.
everything, it starts to get more comfortable. The next thing you know, that thing that
Mhm.
was the deep end, it's just slightly outside your comfort zone.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Love it. Brilliant.
Mhm.
All right, take it away. So how do we refine our digital profiles and audit our profiles? And what, for
Mhm.
those who are like really new to this, what does auditing your
Mhm.
profile mean?
Yeah. So I think of an audit as like a comprehensive review, right? And so um, I think that especially for LinkedIn, where it can be kind of new for people, because on the other, like, Instagram, you only have like maybe 200 characters to describe yourself, maybe a headline, and then like photos, right? Facebook, kind of similar. Like you can fill out your business and work experience. Not many people do that anymore. A couple places you can put info, but on LinkedIn, everyone expects like this full profile for you to even look like a real human being that's not a spam bot or ghost. And that's, I get a lot of questions about why do I need a profile picture? That doesn't have to relate to business, but if you don't have a profile picture that's visible, people are like, why are you hiding it? Is this a real account? And there
Mhm.
are, ghost and spam accounts on there. So it's kind of going from either top down or going from the parts that are missing the most. You could do it either way, but I like top down and figuring out whether it's LinkedIn or other profiles. Like if I have a personal business page basically. So, well, business profile, let's say, and then I have my business page. A business profile on Facebook, for example, for me allows me to join groups. My page doesn't. So I
Mm.
made sure though at some point when I built those, like they're similar enough that my branding is coming across. So I had to double check those. So I think it's similar. Check each component, make sure it's really your brand. But let's say LinkedIn, you go from the banner, that's behind your profile, choose something there because that's great branding and design space. I think that's where people can just show personality, honestly. I don't think it has to be uber professional looking. And I'm talking mainly about personal profiles because yes, you should have like a business page on LinkedIn, but I find that's where I put my formal content and my, services and how people can reach out for services. But LinkedIn is probably going to not promote a lot of your posts on a business page unless you pay for it. So no one's really going to see it. I don't get much engagement over there. On my personal profile, though, I usually already have friends, right, that are part of kind of my own personal brand that can help me promote my business. You can go live and create videos, right? And so the followers and connections that are on there are going to help spread your content a little bit better, or your kind of messages. And when they're messaging with someone, you're sending a connect note. Find it's a lot easier to send it from a personal profile than a business page, because then you're going to be like, business, this sounds salesy.
Mm.
So usually I'm refining my personal profile. And then, yes, you can, build your business brand page as well. There's a purpose for that. And so anyways, if we're going for personal brand, you can show personality on the banner. What's, your favorite color, or what would something that would hint to something in your personality? I used to have a rainbow in the background of mine that actually was pretty hidden, and people started to notice it and literally reference that when they reached out to me. One of the reasons that they picked me, and it was just a little
Mm.
hint to being part of the LGBTQ community. Um, the photo should kind of represent you, as in everyone tries to do professional on LinkedIn, but if you're not in a professional corporate financial banking space, there's no reason we need to be in like suits or ties or dresses. Whatever you feel the most comfortable in, as long as it's a clear photo, that again represents your brand. So do you want to come off as a very professional person, or do you want to come off as more approachable and casual and kind of laid back? I think that's a way we can also represent our brand. The headline, I like looking at that as, how would people search for me? Because your headline pulls into search terms. And so instead of saying something quirky, which could be good, the The fun person, I mean, I do have that. The fun person who talks about LinkedIn all day. I think I have something like that. I'm not too worried about being searched for anymore. Um, but I normally would put something like my strengths or skill sets that people would be searching for. So they might search if you have, uh, a consultancy, right? Like strategy, right? They're going to search more for that than um, good at business. No one's going to be searching for something like that.
Yeah, niching it
Um,
down there, get more
yeah, niching it
specifics.
down and using keywords instead of maybe just a role title or just the name of your business, because they wouldn't know the name of your business until they find you. So the headline space, I'm pretty specific about using almost similar to like SEO terms that you would be found for in your headline. Um, Filling out the professional experience so that people can see the wealth of experience you've built up. And that's why I think adding descriptions there of your accomplishments and impact is important, because what you've done both in your maybe former life, if you haven't been an entrepreneur your whole life, and what you've done in your business really belongs there so that you can build that credibility with either partners or potential clients. And then you can also add certificates, your strengths and skills. I think certificates help in some business spaces to show that tool software. If you have like a PMP, the professional the project management professional certificate, I think, right? That adds that academic credibility that people might be looking for. And then the one thing I love that people don't realize for business owners, the recommendation section is amazing. You can request recommendations. You can request recommendations as testimonials from your clients that live on LinkedIn, but then you can pull them and put them anywhere else you want. So they're going to live publicly and they're going to show very clearly who's reviewing your services and that they were happy with them, but you can reuse them. So I don't like require or have them submit testimonials anywhere else. I just send them my recommendation request on LinkedIn, and I have a whole track record of a lot of my testimonials on there. So once I figured that out, right, this doesn't have to just be from like coworkers who have reviewed me or something like that. That helped me have one source for my testimonials and a place where I won't lose them. It's kind of my running track record. I can lose Google Docs along the way or different survey forms.
Yeah, in the
So I
other
think,
1,000 Google Docs. That's actually a
yeah.
brilliant idea. Thank you for that. I'm going to start using that.
Yeah, and then you also can turn those into like social media posts, right? Turn that quote. It's now your quote. You get to use it for whatever you want. Um, and so that's the profile optimization. And I think, oh, I skipped the big one, the summary, the about in LinkedIn. That is usually going to be a little bit longer than what you've put in on Instagram or Facebook. And it gives you a space to really represent your values as a person, maybe and how those relate to your values as a brand, what you offer. And I also put like personal interests of mine. What do I do in my free time? Because that allows people, when you're networking with them, to establish rapport with you. And it's not just about the business life rapport. I like to mention that, I used to mention things about like house plants. Sometimes I mention that I have veterans in my family. I usually mention that I have ADHD, for example, because I know that people out there with it are going to find me, and it's not a visible disability. So I'm like, I am totally fine if you want to geek out with me about ADHD coping strategies. So things like that to me have a presence. Now, I'm also very vulnerable and a very open individual, and that has a place because in my coaching, I'm not an ADHD coach, but I coach with an ADHD lens and don't always default to like normie advice. And so I'm familiar with that space and love that space. But, I'm not saying everyone has to be completely vulnerable and open on LinkedIn, but when it has reference to the type of people you want to meet, the type of clients you want to help, I think it can have a place there.
I love it. Wow, guys, that was a whole lesson. You can say thank you, and you're going to make sure you send her such a huge thank you. And to go along with those incredible tips, and everyone's going to walk away and they're going to go audit right now their LinkedIn platform, and they're always going to get their recommendations from their clients and what have you using LinkedIn. You have a gift for them that's going to help them with this. So tell us about it.
Yeah, so I knew we wouldn't have a lot of time to talk about all the nitty gritty. And sometimes I find I'm very pragmatic. So I'm like, great, we can talk about the big open things, but what about when I actually go to write the message or go to take my first step to network online? What do I do? So I created a virtual networking for business guide. So any of the listeners that watch this can download that at my website store for free. and it will guide you through some of these tips as well as some of the like templates for sample connect notes, and different communities that I've used to reach out to, both, Slack forums and things like that, as well as digital kind of more online community spaces as well that have helped me. And then in that guide, but I'll also just mention it here, there's a note at the bottom, but I'm happy to do this kind of LinkedIn profile audit for anyone who wants to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I can review your page for you and give you some of those. Oh, you might have missed here, or there's an optimization here because I've checked all your sections, right? And this is the spot that can be improved the most for your brand or your goals.
And I want you guys to understand how important it is to audit your platforms. This is like your resume. So you remember we started off with about building strategic partnerships and networking through online communities. So you went and you networked and you guys exchanged information. You even booked a coffee call, or maybe they haven't done one yet. They're going to go to your platform. They're going to audit you by looking at those profiles and those pages, and they may keep the coffee date, they may book the coffee date, they may cancel the coffee date. And you want to have the content, the information and everything there so that you can build that rapport and that relationship. Think of it like a resume. And then you want to audit it across all the platforms, because if they go to Instagram and you're like selling cookies, unless it's a completely different business, but that's a different thing and not for today. And then on the other one, you're auditing LinkedIn profiles. It's like, well, what does she do? Right. So when you go and do this audit, everything she just told you, once you own it on the LinkedIn platform, go and audit and do the rest of them as well. And she's got that incredible guide there for you, as well as you're able to book a call with her, and she's going to help you audit. You'd be surprised the value in tiny little tweaks in languages, in one word, for SEO, to capture that reader, to capture that ideal client. So that is not falling upon deaf ears, but actually speaking exactly to that right person. And there's so much magic in everything that she taught you guys today. So you're going to grab that link, you're going to check out that resource, you're going to book that call with her. You can check out her website and all the things that she does, stay connected, support her in all that she does, and make sure that you maybe even rewind and go back and listen to some of those great tips, because there were so many golden nuggets in today's show. I can't thank you enough for your energy, your knowledge, and your wisdom. Thank you.
Of course. Yeah, I'm happy to share this. I think more people should be more comfortable with networking because it can benefit us so much, especially when we do it in a sincere way. So thanks for letting me share this today. And I know you are also the master networker, so I think it's great to share tips that we've both seen work well.
Absolutely. It's so good. So guys, we talked about how to build partnerships and referrals for online communities, how to network sincerely and authentically, and how to refine your digital brand through your profiles and auditing those profiles. And now you've got that virtual networking guide with the profile audit in there. So everything you need. And I always like to finish off the show with, what is your favorite book recommendation and why? So please tell us.
Yeah, so this book very much changed a lot of how I thought about ADHD and being more proactive about finding coping strategies. And I know not enough adults are actively trying to figure out how to work with their brain instead of against it. I've heard so many people say, I know I have ADHD, and that's as far as it got. Yeah. And so the book is Your Brain's Not Broken. I believe it's by Tamaria Rosier, but I think that's the only title out there that exists. And it's just a key book to both understanding the brain chemistry that's going on and how ADHD works, especially in adults. But she also has a like how to support your kids section as well, and like energy management tactics and coping strategies. So she moves from explanation to, again, like pragmatic, practical solutions. And it's a very positive book. So it also helps with the mindset, because there's a lot of shame and guilt out there associated with the difficulties of having ADHD. So it really helped me stop blaming myself for some of the difficulties I was facing and being able to be more compassionate towards my brain.
Yeah, and absolutely loving ourselves like a whole, and understanding that everyone has different brains, and we live in a society with all the different people. Like, oh, what is normal? I'm sorry, they tried to put you in a box and kill your character and everything in school and just tell you, be this square and be a good soldier. Just do what you're told. Don't be an innovator. Like, there's so much. So I know that a lot of shame and guilt go with it. And I even have a family member that went to their doctor recently to get support. And they were like, well, you're an adult. You've made it this far. You're fine.
Uh-huh.
And just like sent them
Yep.
home. She was like, I just
Mm.
came to you to tell you I'm struggling. And I
Yeah.
left with nothing. And so thank you so much for bringing that to the forefront. And thank you for that book recommendation. And you're not broken. Your brain is not broken.
Mhm.
We're all perfect, whole, and complete. There's no circle or square for you to fit in. Go and be your unique and incredible self and shine your light bright. And we love all levels of neurodiversity, because that's what makes the world so magical. And it takes all of us to make it go round. So thank you for
Mhm.
bringing that to the forefront, and great book recommendation.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Heather.
Oh, absolutely. So incredible show. You're going to go back and catch so many of those golden nuggets. Click on that link, check Laura Holt out. And thank you so much for all that you do. I know you volunteer and with non-for-profits and with veterans and do many things. So just thank you so much. And we look forward to having you as a guest speaker inside our program soon.
Yeah, very excited.
Amazing. So guys, remember, stay happy, healthy, wealthy, expect magic and miracles, and what is the best that can happen? We'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Own It Show today. Make sure to leave a review and subscribe. We want to thank you for your time and energy, and extend the invite for you to join us in the Own It community on Facebook, an incubator for conscious entrepreneurs so that they can step into their greatness. We have tons of free trainings and resources for you, as well as a great opportunity to network with people leaving a positive impact on this world. Make sure to come back for next week's show. Have an incredible day. Remember, expect magic and miracles. Stay happy, healthy, and wealthy.